too late.
Look at this beautiful scenery. Here we are in Manchester once again.
Hi guys, we're back for round 2. We didn't think we would make it this far.
It was close. We had some serious struggles. I think episode 1 / like the actual episode 1 was just an absolute shit show.
It was a little tight in places.
Yeah.
And but we covered a lot of topics. I remember it was a bit of a haze for me. I was just on because I look back at the footage and it was scorching hot that day, and I was sitting in the sun cooking for like half an hour, just trying. And when I finished that episode, I got up and my back was drenched.
These are like greenhouses, though. I'm not excited for summer. Like this was in the middle of winter when we were doing it as well.
So you were here last summer, weren't you?
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. I've got like this. He's got an industrial AC unit in his flat.
For my one small room.
He catches you out in the electricity bill. They see that, but I got a big fan, so it's like a foot long fan. That's a tongue twister. That foot long fan for my room for summer.
Last time we were thinking of expressions or sayings that it's possible for you to butcher.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do you know any others?
Well, a foot-long flan isn't a saying just yet.
Okay, I can see that catching on.
Yeah. In what context?
A flan is a piece of cloth.
What is a flan? No, a flan is like a cake, right? It's like a
flapjack.
I think it's like it's like a quiche.
Okay, a foot-long flan. I've never used the word flan, I gotta say.
Should we make a foot-long flan?
I'm gonna Google what flan means.
I'm sure it's a quiche. It's like a quiche kind of thing.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
It's a baked dish consisting of an open top pastry case with a savoury or sweet filling.
1-0 to me.
Where have you had this before?
I don't know if I have had flan before.
I've never seen this on a menu.
Flan.
It sounds like peasant food.
Rewind. Laughs in rich.
Flan.
Right, well, anyway, what are we on at now? Episode 4, episode 5.
Between each episode, there's like 3 attempts we try and...
Also, we argue a lot. Like, we're a good team in a lot of ways, or we have disagreements. We complement each other well in a lot of ways. I'm a little bit more, maybe, free-spirited in some ways.
That's generous, yeah.
How would you feel? I don't even want to know. I don't want to know.
If I tell you there's going to be no episode 3...
let's not go there. You have strengths, I have weaknesses. I think that's how you...
That's a clip. Right there.
We complement each other quite nicely, I think. I think it's hard working with people. Like, I did this when I was doing my music. I really struggled to work with other people because I always think my ideas are the best. And it's so hard to break out of that way of thinking. Do you agree with that? Like, I
100%.
always think my ideas are the best.
Well, at the moment, because all the viewers get to see is what's going on right here.
Oh, shout out to our 6 followers.
6 followers. Guys, this one's for you.
Yeah, sorry, go.
But the viewers will see this, but they don't see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There is sometimes, like, we're at each other's throats. It gets pretty heated sometimes when we're coming up against different ideas, what to do next, and Matt is notoriously difficult.
I don't think I'm that difficult. I think it's... You're more rational with things. I'm like the woman in the relationship.
You bring the fire into that.
That's it, exactly. But you're like... I saw, Noel Diaz, the bodybuilder. Do you know him?
Maybe.
So he's like, I don't know how much he's won, but he's massive, basically. He's bang loaded warriors. He's really open about it, but he's great at motivating people as well, the way that he speaks. And he did like a reel recently, and he was like talking about consistency. And he spoke about the flame that burns the brightest is not the strongest. If you have a slow burning flame for a long period of time, that's always going to burn stronger than a flame that is bright and then it's extinguished quickly. And it was about not burning yourself out, taking things step by step, and just kind of building.
That's perfect. There's an expression that I remember that's linked to that, and it's optimizing, not maximizing for performance. And I used to be in that mindset as well of, I want to get fucking 100% all day, every day, but then physically and mentally your body really gets worn down.
Yeah.
And now I think, all right, how can I adjust things to make it sustainable long term? And that's what we're going to try and do with this thing, with the pod, is to see how can we make it sustainable for the long term? Because it has to grow, it has to do well, but in a sustainable way that we can both manage.
I was listening to a podcast. Do you know Spencer Matthews? He was on Made in Chelsea. This is why it's good to have a woman on the podcast. Made in Chelsea used to be like this hit reality TV show, and this guy had problems with cocaine, alcohol, and he recently broke a world record for doing back-to-back marathons in a desert.
No way.
For over 30 days. And he was like a TV, like celebrity TV star. Like, he used to love drinking, like get shagging around, like all that. That was his personality. And he now runs a podcast, and he was interviewing a long endurance athlete, like the Messi or the Ronaldo of endurance sports. And I think it was him that described consistency and the importance of not going 100% all the time, and described long runs. He compared it to a bank account. So the long runs that you do at a slow pace are like deposits, and the fast, strenuous runs are like making withdrawals from your bank account. These kind of make up your training, and I think it's relevant to anything outside of exercise as well. If you go 100%, 150% at work every day, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try, but if you push yourself to your absolute limits every single day, and you're withdrawing, you need to be steady, allow you, or at least find some kind of middle ground that enables you to be consistent.
I'm curious, what did you take away from that to apply to your day-to-day?
Well, the training for the Ironman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was something that a mistake that I was making, was it's really tempting when you're doing training to just push yourself to your absolute limit, but really it takes more discipline to take a step back and be like, okay, my body's kind of fucked, I'm really tired, I need to just go on a long, slow run now.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you think you could apply that to yourself?
One of the things I've been shifting over the past few years is the time horizon in which I look at goals. So younger Ibrahim was like, within the next 6 to 12 months, I need to achieve everything. And it was like this insatiable desire that meant I would make rash decisions, prioritize something short term rather than the long term, and just really make non-optimal choices to get to my goals. And over the past few years, I've got a better understanding of what it really takes to achieve something meaningful, whether it's in your business, your relationships, whatever it is. A lot of this stuff takes a lot longer than I thought. And so this has been a reality check where I'm like, okay, now I need to put in a lot more work. It's going to take a lot longer to get there. And so now that my time horizon is, let's say, 5 years, I'm thinking, all right, now I can plan much better. I can plan on every year. If I do this, then I'll get there. That means I can break it down to monthly, every quarter, what I need to achieve. And it makes it much more sustainable, because the path there is like, even if you trip up a day, it's only 1 day out of 5 years. It's nothing. You're like, all right, no problem. I'll pick it up and I'll carry on tomorrow. That way I'll basically reframe a lot of the stuff that I do day to day. It takes the pressure off of it, and I'm like, I just got to keep, like you said, this marathon. I'll just keep running this marathon, and if I'm more or less hitting the mile markers that I've set out for myself, it works so much better. And I imagine for your Ironman training, it's pretty much identical, right? You've got certain goals or mile markers you want to hit in anticipation of running the race, and as long as you're on track for that, you're like, I'm going to hit it.
You see, this is where we're really different, because I appreciate that goals work for a lot of people. I've never really set my goals have always been so vague.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've said I want a promotion, but I know I'll do what it takes to get there. I won't set myself a clear path to do it. Yeah, I still do manage to manage it. It's like going to the gym. We were laughing because you have a strict kind of workout that you pre-plan before going to the gym. I hate that. I go to the gym, I choose what I'm doing, and I do it hard, and I have a good time there, but I hate pre-planning things. And for this Ironman training, I was following a plan for a week,
right,
and then I just binned it off. I've just been freestyling it. I know I'm doing enough. I did the swim. I did 2K swim this morning. The whole half Ironman swim. I kind of exposed myself. The whole half Ironman swim is 1.9K. Yeah. So I've done the swim already, boxed it off, and I felt okay. But goal setting, for me, has never been that important. I think maybe it's an area that I could improve and get better at.
Now, before we started, off camera, you said to me, this is a sneak peek, everyone, for what goes on behind the scenes. You were like, I'm feeling a little bit tired, a bit more exhausted, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you had a little more planning or structure around your training, where you can accommodate, the things you got to do day to day, and basically block in extra time for it, do you think that might then reduce how tired you get?
So, potentially, if I didn't train as hard this morning and train harder tomorrow.
No, I mean, like, let's say you got to train, but you don't have time or as much time as you want to rest because it's being taken up by other things, other commitments. Now, there's always space to optimize your schedule, whether it's around cooking, chores, other things. if you were really dialed in and optimized all those other aspects, maybe you could squeeze out another hour of rest every day.
Yeah.
And that way,
possibly.
you'd feel better overall because your recovery would be better.
That's more organisation though. That's not goal setting, right? Goal setting would be in this case would be relevant to kind of setting clear goals in order to make sure I progress to the level I need to for this challenge. Whereas that's organisation, which is hugely important as well, and something I'm okay at. You're very good at it, so you prep you cook quite a lot, to be fair, but you do also prep your meals, don't you? Which is
everything's usually prepped in advance. But I'll tell you what, if you're running on autopilot, sometimes things can feel a little sterile. And I don't know if you like this, but you have this need for a little bit of chaos every now and then, just to kind of feel alive, right? And you get this urge, and you're like,
no, not a little bit. Like I'm gonna get my whole life's been chaos. I need a little bit less chaos, but you're right. And when you start kind of settling down and getting the day-to-day structured routine, like I'm up at pretty much every time the same day. I eat fairly similar meals every day, like healthy meals.
But that's what it takes, right? It's like that consistency of routine, but. For me, I'm always resisting this urge for a lot of the time to not go off the rails. To be like, sure, I've dialed everything in super tight, but it has to be this way. Otherwise, if I give myself a little bit of leeway, I know what's going to happen. My mind is a fiend, and it's going to be like, oh, what's that shiny thing over there? Let's go find out.
I've for the first time in a long time, I felt like I'm in a position now where the temptations are so much less than they've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, firstly, I've removed that element of choice by setting myself essentially one goal to do this fitness challenge. So I do not see it really as a choice. Like, I can't really go out. I thought that I could go out and then I'll just like firm it. I won't be a bitch. Something I heard about this, like arguing, not allowing yourself to listen to like the bitch in your mind, or like there's a psychiatrist who described it as having a monkey in your brain. Like a little monkey caged away, and every time you say no to that monkey, so you separate that temptation into this other kind of persona, a little monkey.
Because it distances
no
you.
monkey. Fuck off, monkey.
Yeah,
bad
that's a
monkey.
good way to look at it.
So,
and I think of it as like, we don't negotiate.
Yeah, you don't negotiate. Something that I used to do is cold showers, and I'm not as good at them, but like I never wanted to do them. I didn't wake up and I'm like, that's a really freezing cold shower.
But you feel amazing afterwards. That's the benefit.
There's nothing that increases your dopamine by that much other than cocaine. So, and the amount of time that increases it by, so it's like 2.5x, but it does it for several hours.
This is the cold shower or cocaine?
I think it's the only thing. I think they both do it by 2.5x the amount of dopamine that's increased released within your brain. But cocaine does it for like, I think it peaks and drops within 20 minutes or so. Cold showers are like 2 hours. It's insane. It is insane.
You think if the data is that obvious, why isn't everyone doing it?
Well, it's the same for loads of things. Like, why is everyone eating McDonald's when it's... we spoke about comfort on last episode. It's not comfortable.
It's true.
Like, there's loads of things that are uncomfortable that we know that we should be doing.
I'm glad you brought this up, man.
Do you have any examples?
Man, it's for the most part, I'm pretty dialed in, but what's that supposed to mean?
Well, I don't know.
But I want to ask, let's say difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Right. What is your approach to having, or actually the better question is, can you tell me what was the last difficult conversation you had?
The last difficult conversation I had was with a girl I'm seeing, and basically it's a situationship at the moment. So those conversations are never nice, right? It's like, where are we going? What are we doing? We know this won't last.
I love digging into this because I feel like this is where you get to the good stuff.
Yeah, it is, but I kind of start sweating a little bit. You know what I mean?
I know that's why I think it's gonna make for really good content.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
You ready?
I'm ready.
So, you're going into this conversation, right?
Yeah.
What is your intention? Like, your goal?
I don't know. I just feel like a bitch when I speak about like things that. It's hard, isn't it? Like it's hard to feel so like raw.
I'll warm us up with it, right? So I've similar situation to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And going into this conversation, I pretty much always know what I'm going to say what the outcome will be. Right? That gives me a lot of confidence in knowing how it's going to play out. Because I don't leave things in the air, right? I'm like, I've made up my mind. I'm saying, this is what I want out of this. It's not in line with my goals, or this is what I need to do. So I'm going to stay consistent with that, and I need to just make that clear.
And does it ever come up though?
What do you mean?
I sometimes just bring it up, or one of us brings it up, and like, what are we doing? That's just so counterintuitive.
I bring it up all the time.
Yeah, and you just feel like it's out of a place of like sadness. It's not.
No, it isn't. It isn't. I'm gonna contradict it. I don't think it is. I think it's from a place of knowing that you could be doing better. It's like there's an internal conflict where you're like, I know this isn't good for me long term, and my body's not sitting right with it.
But then I'm disappointed in myself, and I feel sad.
That's it.
I'm like,
get your shit together, man.
Yeah, it's just that was one of the difficult conversations I've had. There's always difficult conversations to have, isn't there?
And it's not too bad at the moment. I think if you limit your exposure to people who bring kind of unwanted energy or problems into your life, you're having less of those.
That is so important.
Right? And I've got super diligent about applying that filter nowadays, where if I get a whiff of someone being like, I think this person's a little bit of drama, I think they've got a little bit of chaos, and I'm not going to tolerate that.
Yeah.
Now, there's people who I've had come into my life recently who've been like this, right? Where they're like, you just get a sense that, what is this person doing?
My big exception.
I'm actually talking about you, man.
Are you actually?
No.
But I do.
You know the kind of people you're talking about, right? It's like you let your guard down. You're like, all right, I'm gonna give this person benefit of the doubt, and basically your radar just gets better and better at picking up on these signals where you're like, this person's doing these things, and I'm not really sure why, or I'm not really fully kind of agreeing with that. And sure, you know, everyone's got their own life, but I think
I just realised I just grunted.
This is
speakers.
This is when we know Matt's like fully cognitively engaged in the conversation.
I'm sorry, man. I lost the ability to speak for this.
Did you have a point you wanted to make instead?
No, I just agreed. No.
But anyway, I was rambling. That was the point. It was like filtering out people who you think are going to be problems. And sometimes the pushback I've had from that is, oh, you're being like uptight or a hard ass about people. Just chill out and, you know, go with it. But I'm like, having strict boundaries and standards for people is like a core value for me. So tolerating or being flexible with that means I'll just lower my standards for other people, which I'm not willing to do.
I don't know if I fully agree with you. I do agree with pretty much everything that. I do agree with the basis of what you're saying.
Okay.
You're the product of your surroundings, right? And one of our biggest surroundings, we don't have any family here, so it's all our friends. That is the people that we hang around with, right? Either work or friends. And I don't particularly like have great friends at work. They're like my work friends kind of thing. I have a great group in Manchester who I know don't share some of the same values, aren't as disciplined and looking after themselves as well as I am. But I still enjoy spending time with them to the extent that I'm willing to trade that off, as long as they don't drag me down. And that is the thing, is that I'm not saying that they're beneath me or anything like that. Like I love the people that hang around with them. I've actually been a worse influence on them before than they have on me. But I'm in a different direction now, but I wouldn't disregard those friendships because of the different paths that we're on, because I take so much value from the time that we spend together. So actually it's like in a similar way to meditation or kind of just relaxing and having, you know, a bit of time to yourself and a bit of space. I think it gives me energy when I come away from these social interactions with this group, and I just feel like, you know what, that was a really good time. I didn't think about anything apart from just having a laugh with a group of people, like fully like crying with laughter kind of thing. That value is worth the risk. I know for a fact they won't be able to take me off track at this point.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
It's a risk. It is a risk.
And I get like a lot of relationships serve a specific purpose, right? Like you talked about, where you have set conditions where you think, I'm gonna go hang out with these people, and within the dynamic that we have, I'll feel recharged, or it'll satisfy whatever social requirement I've got.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have no impact on how you choose to kind of see yourself or the standards you set. So if they're less disciplined or less ambitious with their goals, your benchmark for how ambitious and disciplined you are is also lower, because you're going to be comparing it to those around you. Now, that doesn't mean the trade-off isn't worth it, because maybe you're able to be as disciplined and ambitious as you are because you've got that social support network where you can hang out with them and you're like, all right, now I'm recharged. I can continue to focus on my bigger goals.
I think it depends if you use that as a benchmark, because I never compare.
But that's
you
subconscious.
naturally do.
Yeah, I think everybody does.
If I was hanging around with people that were self-made millionaires all day, every day,
all you would think about is, how do I become a millionaire every single day? It'd be your single thought.
Yeah, sure. So
I think that one's a really tricky one, because sure, you have goals and ambitions, but how do you cultivate the environment that kind of supports that? Because already the things that we like to do and shoot for are rare, right? Most people aren't doing it. So having more of those people around you is super difficult.
And it's to break the mold is like, most of these people, I don't know, I would assume wouldn't have that many positive role models, or would you disagree? Or
you mean
would you
like,
say it's a bit of a bubble, and most people that are kind of self-made would have some kind of guidance from people in their network?
I don't know, man. Like, I've never had any role models.
Yeah.
I've always just thought, I think curiosity is a big one, where you're like, I'm kind of going to just see what's out there and figure stuff out. And naturally, it just leads you to think, well, why would I accept normal everyday life as it?
It's so bizarre. Both of our families are set like in, well, our parents anyway, is like
very traditional.
You go to work,
yeah,
you make your money. It's part of it's the Asian lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ability to think freely and do something creative. I wasn't discouraged from it. Don't get me wrong, but also at the same time, you learn your products as surroundings, right? I learned throughout my childhood. I would have seen what my dad does and what my mum does, and just thought that's normal, whether I've consciously been thinking about it or not. So in my brain, it's like, go to work, come back, sleep, go to work again, working for someone else and making them loads of money. But if you have the balls to just fucking try something, which is what we're doing, and this could go nowhere, this could be really successful. That's not the point of why we started it anyway. We're just having a bit of fun. But yeah,
no, that's cool. I think when you're when you're on this path, everything seems possible, which is nice. I no longer think, oh yeah, I have to have a job, I have to work certain hours. Once you get deep into it, you're just like, anything's really possible as long as I can figure out how. Which is really freeing, right? Because now you don't have to be anywhere, you don't have to do anything. As long as you can figure out a way, then anything's possible.
And it's not. Yeah, sorry.
No, you.
I was gonna say it's not comfortable, but it's exciting. Like, it wasn't easy to figure all this out. Even the basic setup. Like, it wasn't like a walk in the park. You know what I mean? It took a bit of kind of struggle to get everything sorted. We had to do some research into how to optimize everything, and then we're doing more research to try and make things better and better and better. But that's not necessarily like fun. You know what I mean? It's fun having these conversations, but everything else...
Like we were saying, like behind the scenes, some of that stuff is challenging.
And that's where the arguments come out, because we both set very high standards for everything that we do. I always have. Like, if I'm going to do something, I want to be the best at it, or at least I want to be proud of it. Like, even if I'm not the best, I want to look, and anyone looking at me, I want to think he's doing well. I don't know where that comes from.
I'm thinking this is the problem with having that side of you that likes to get a little bit loose every now and then. Because I don't know about you, when I'm out, I also want to be the best at doing shots. Right? It's like very consistent.
Yeah.
And if I'm out, I'm an absolute kind of I'm debaucherous. Yeah. It's like all over the place. But I'm learning to kind of channel that energy into something more productive now. And
again, going back to Spencer Matthews, that's what he said. He's replacing one addiction with another, and a lot of everyone's been saying to him, "Oh, you're just addicted to that now." Like,
so what?
As if it's a bad thing. Like, listen, I've got addiction problems. Like, let me be addicted to something good. And over the last few years, is the first time I have been addicted to something good. So I work in sales, and I'm addicted to that. Like, or at least I was for a long time. Now I'm finding a bit of a middle ground. I want to find something else that I'm addicted to. But in the past, I've been addicted to gambling, drinking, smoking, coffee, everything you can be addicted to. I've been fucking hooked on it, like, to the point where I can't. Yeah, I used to play. I remember when I was gaming, everyone would like log on for a few hours, we'd have a little game. I used to lie in bed just thinking about gaming and like imagine it in my head. I don't know if that's a normal thing.
No, I definitely had that.
You know what I mean?
You do it so much that even when you're not doing it, your brain is thinking about it.
And
it's like imprinted into your brain.
That was what with gambling as well. I'd go to bed and I'd just think about it. With exercise, there's no middle ground. Like, from fitness, like, I'll either train and do something really hard or won't really train.
I actually think this is a superpower, because what it means is you've got this huge potential of energy that you can direct anywhere and get amazing results with.
Yeah.
So sure, you've got it in your work and your training at the moment, and you're killing it at that, getting really good results. And I bet if you, like this new project that we're taking on into the podcast, if you start channeling the energy to this is going to be an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
Look back, episode 2, you heard it here first. But this is what I think. I used to fight it a lot of the time, try and suppress it and think I want to be normal, balanced, and just fit in and try and do things like every other person. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to do things a little bit differently, a little bit crazy and unbalanced, but it works so much better. I feel more fulfilled, and I'll get even better results doing it this way.
You know what I think, one thing off this, and I've seen a lot of people using it as an excuse online, is like they say, I'm really got an addictive personality, I can't do this, can't do that. Blaming ADHD, man. It's pissing me off.
I personally don't know a lot about ADHD, so you're going to have to educate me here.
Man, the amount of people that just whinge that they've got ADHD, or I've got like 5 different things, like, so what, man? Get over it. Like, no one's going to give you a certificate where they're just going to give you things because you've got ADHD. I appreciate it, and it's annoying because some people really suffer with that, and I know people that really do suffer with it in terms of organisation, in terms of starting something, getting distracted and doing something else. And then some people might have a few of these traits and be like, oh yeah, ADHD.
Do you know what like the main problems that come or challenges that come with ADHD are?
So a lot of them is it's a focus,
right?
It's being able to focus on one thing at a time. So people with ADHD, generally speaking, I'm not a medical professional. I don't know everything.
Disclaimer, guys.
I used to teach and I used to work with SEND students. I used to work in schools where the kids didn't have ADHD, but mummy and daddy said, my little... I'm not going to say any names. Boy had ADHD, he can't help it. He just throwing pens across the class. I was like, I must have had ADHD then as well. But it's about people using it now.
Like a crutch.
Oh, all the time. I see it all the time, and it really boils my blood, because it's like, even if you do have it, like, what's the point in whinging about it? Like, no one's going to give you special treatment because you've got ADHD, and you shouldn't expect that. Like, it's like if you've got depression or anxiety, things that I've been through, I don't know if you have as well, like, it sucks, don't get me wrong. And at one point I felt like I was oversharing. I only told a couple of my close mates, but even then it's like, when you complain, you lose respect for yourself after you've done that. Well, I did anyway. And it's one thing talking about it, and it's one thing using it as an excuse for other things. Yes, you've got this problem. Yes, you're not in a great situation. Now, how are you going to solve that? I don't want to hear about the fact that you're going through it. That's not... If you're my friend...
That's also getting clipped, man.
No, I don't. Like, tell me, and then you can tell me. It's like...
I think it's the framing of the conversation, right? It's like...
Yeah, sure.
I have this problem, and I'd like to figure out a solution, or I want some input on how I can tackle it. As opposed to, woe is me, my life is terrible, and there's
I
nothing.
need this because I have this. That's one thing that does.
No, I'm 100% with you. I actually have a kind of cardinal rule of no complaining ever.
Yeah.
It just does nothing. It just makes you feel worse about your current situation. Whereas I think I even tread that line in the wrong direction sometimes, where I'll be doing some shit or going through some shit and I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Just out of this exact thing which you said, which I don't want to come across as whinging. And I think there's a balance there, obviously, because it is helpful to get some input from people close to you about the shit you're going through, and they might say, oh, have you thought about this? Have you considered this? And I'll be like, that's so obvious. 'Cause especially in those moments, I'm sure you've been, where you're like, everything feels so heavy, the world feels so tiny, and you're like, this is so all-consuming. And so having that perspective is good. It's just convincing yourself that it's not weakness to ask for some support or guidance in the moment.
Yeah.
That's the tricky thing.
Yeah. It depends who you ask as well. It does depend who you ask.
When you're talking about the kids at your school you were teaching, I'm curious, how would you treat young Matt if he was at school?
Bring back the belt, mate. The belt would be out.
Were you difficult?
I wasn't awful. Like, my mum and some people might disagree. I wasn't like horrible.
Matt's mum, please write in if you have any insight.
It depends if I like the teacher or not. Like, for the teachers I liked and they were able to engage me, I was pretty good. Like, I'd fuck about a bit, but I wouldn't take the piss. For the ones that like felt like they didn't they demanded respect instead of earned it. Right? Some teachers now, the reason I stopped teaching is because I no longer enjoyed it. So I always thought at school, like, why are you here if you don't like teaching children? Like, what are you doing? We don't like it, you don't like it, get out, go away, do something else. And I became that person, so that's why I left. So as soon as I stopped enjoying it, I left.
That's good. Because teachers have such a big impact on kids.
Yeah.
I know for me, some of the teachers that I really got on with at school, they had such a big impact on just the direction that I went in.
Yeah.
So in high school, one of my favorite teachers was my English teacher. She was very articulate, really well spoken and well read. And that had such a big influence on how I read and how I chose to articulate myself. And I think that's had such a big impact on kind of the direction I've gone in. Massively. Being able to communicate effectively and all these little things that have had like a butterfly effect just from having that one teacher who was kind of interested and engaging.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. I think it does always have a big impact, kind of. It's just a flatmate.
We'll edit that.
Yeah, no, it's alright. It's minor.
So, I'm curious, at school, any teachers you had that you think had a lasting impression?
Yes. One of them, like, was my tutor, and he basically says, stop whinging about things. Like, he was very hard line. He was a gay Colombian Spanish teacher.
Nice. And
he was sassy. This guy is sassy. He was bold. And this girl came in with loads of makeup. Bless her. She had vitiligo, right? So she had a skin condition. And she didn't have any pigment in her skin. So she had blonde eyelashes and a patch of white on her face. And so she wore a lot of makeup. And this guy walks in. She comes into the first lesson. And he goes, "You look like a clown. Go and take off your makeup." And we just like, but honestly, he didn't know. But this guy, he was like, if he said something, you came in and you hadn't shaved or something like that, go on, like, go get your razor. Like, he was strict with things, but he was hilarious. He had a lot of, had a lot of charm. He was also he put his foot down a lot, and like, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad growing up. Like, he's in the military, so he went on tour a lot. I didn't speak to him that much. He's quite Asian. He just kind of sits there in the house kind of thing, and he didn't really get too involved. So to have that positive, authoritative male figure in my life, even though it was a gay camp sassy Colombian man,
it's not textbook male figure, right?
But he was scary. This guy is scary, man. And he just told me off. He absolutely bollocked me. I can't even remember what for. I think I was out of the class and I was pissed, like tapping on a window in someone else's class. And he just came out and started screaming at me. I was like, it's like, he almost grabbed me and took me downstairs to the deputy head. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then he became my tutor in the end. And I value his lessons that he taught me so much in terms of basically like, get over it. No one's coming to save you. Like, take accountability. Almost like man up.
No, that's good.
Which is, and he would have the same approach to women as well.
It's the opposite of what I get the impression that kids nowadays are taught, right? Which is everything's okay, nothing's your fault, and don't need to worry about anything.
Exactly.
So it's interesting how much that dynamic has changed over the years, and I think you see it in the temperament of the kind of the younger generation that are coming out now, where they're a little bit softer, maybe less resilient. I think COVID has had part of an impact on that, but yeah, now I think you've got to be even more deliberate about putting yourself in those difficult circumstances so that you can make up for that lack of resilience or willpower or discipline.
Yeah, it's bad. I feel like women are generally more kind of conscious about health and like looking after themselves than men.
This is an unusual opinion for you, Matt.
Yeah, usually I hate women.
We're back.
Yeah, short intermission. What were we talking about before?
So one of the, I want to go back to the bit about kids and school, right? One of the things that kids are really good at is testing boundaries.
Yeah,
I think this is how kids develop discipline, or they realize like what's acceptable or isn't, right? So as a young kid, your parents will tell you, all right, don't do this, and kids will be like, I'm gonna try and do it and see what happens, or I'll get as close to that as possible and see what happens. Now for most parents, the kid will do that thing and they'll be like, oh, don't do that again. Zero consequence, zero repercussion, and the kid is like, Well, if that's it, I'm gonna do that thing all the time.
I've got a solution. I've put a lot for.
You're thinking about corporal punishment?
Bring back the belt.
I thought you might say that.
Man, bring back the belt. Like, honestly, like, there's kind of a joke, it kind of isn't. Like, I got a big slap on the wrist or smack on the bum if I did something wrong when I was a kid. It didn't work, but
I don't know, man.
I don't know what it would have been like.
I'm not sure. Like, I think if you have to resort to physical violence, there's something wrong with the approach.
Potentially, I don't see. If you look at one of the downfalls of this country, whoa, whoa,
Matt's about to speak some truth, guys.
It's discipline. No one's fucking disciplined. Like,
I don't know if
how has that slipped? Because that's pretty in line with when
the
people
corporal
stopped getting
punishment
beat.
went out. Yeah,
it's pretty in line, right?
I don't know. There's been a lot of things since then.
But Asia and China,
it's all the same thing.
India and China,
yeah,
like they still beat kids. Look at them. Yeah, they're doing alright.
I'm gonna have to fact check this while you keep talking.
Yeah, man, do it. I hope I'm right. I like. Yeah, if you look at Western society, there's no discipline there. I mean, why is that?
I mean, it's officially outlawed, right? But
it happens.
According to Google, it's still common in more rural areas.
It happens all the fucking time. I imagine, right?
Okay. I love hypothesizing about things.
I went to see my family in Malaysia when I was a kid,
and you got
nearly. They tried.
What a holiday, man! That's right.
My auntie came out with a paddle, mate. I was on a treadmill. On that treadmill, and I was like, just pushing the boundaries, like sprinting. I was really fat as well. It must have been quite a sight.
That's funny.
And I fell and damaged the treadmill, and she was furious. She was trying to beat me.
She was like, "I don't care. You might have broken your ankle. Let me give you a whip."
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it again if she'd bit me. Bit me. Definitely would have. Just would have been like.
Mate, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. But anyway, I don't know about beating kids, man. I'm probably gonna say
only your own kids.
But schools, like, anyway, I probably wouldn't jump to that as a first resort.
Maybe, but there's something needs to change, doesn't it? And how do you save? I like Rishi Sunak's idea, man,
of military service.
Yeah, I really like that. They do that in Singapore. They do that in a few different places, and it works really, really well.
A lot of younger people, they kind of stay up to date about politics and what's wrong with the country and what needs to happen. They have opinions about it, and on the contrary, I don't. I actually am pretty indifferent to it.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're big into solving a lot of society's endemic issues, but for me, I actually don't really care.
I don't care. I don't care enough.
It's been the topic of a lot of conversations we've had.
I just think there's a lot of problems, and I like to think of solutions for them.
And then what? What is your next
step?
Do
nothing.
This is the point, right?
That's what I mean. I don't care enough to do anything about it. Like, I don't. Yeah.
Now I know the counter argument to this is, well, if you don't appreciate and make full use of the democracy that you have, then you kind of forfeit the right to complain or change things, and you basically say, all right, the elitists are going to take control and do whatever they do. But realistically, how much power does the average person have? Almost nothing.
Unless you want to be a politician, unless you dedicate your life to it. Mm-hmm. That's there's two options.
Even then, right? My perspective on this is there's only one path to make monumental, lasting societal changes.
I know where this is going.
Money.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Sure.
If I wanted to fix a particular issue I was unhappy about, a broader societal issue, I would think, all right, I can go and protest every Sunday, and maybe someone's going to take notice and I'll sign a petition. Worthless.
Yeah.
Or I can commit my life to making enough money so that I'll fix a problem with capital.
That's like Musky boy.
I don't know if he's fixing societal issues.
Hey, he's just having fun though.
Yeah, that's true.
Imagine, he what was it recently? I don't know how long ago it was.
Well,
he successfully landed a rocket.
Yeah, he's the de facto president of the US.
Which is like the Willy Wonka of cars and rockets, mate. He just does what he wants. He's just having fun.
That's true.
With Tesla. And some of the features on the Tesla are insane.
What do you know about this?
I used to know a little bit more about it. And
mate, you opened this book and I gave you a layup.
There's loads of things he puts into kind of the software.
Right.
Or the hardware. and basically it's like if you do certain things, it'll like sing you a song, like there's ways to like make it like fart and things like that, just funny things in the Tesla that he's literally just having fun, man.
Cars
So
is
just Google Tesla hidden features.
I'm gonna put a pin on this one. I don't know if listeners are interested to us pitching Tesla right now.
They will.
But I'm curious. Cars is like, I think, something we're both interested in, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
And it's one of these things that I struggle to understand the justification of the expense, right? Like it's an extortionate amount compared to what most people make for to spend on this vehicle. But let's say you wanted to splash out and you wanted to have the best possible way to signal your wealth to other people, but you're on a very limited budget. Right? Basically, I'm describing our situation right now.
we're probably in the top 10%.
I know, but I'm thinking if we wanted to break the barrier into top 1%, right? Yeah. Which is inevitable, but I'm thinking, how can we fast track that process? So we want to give the illusion of success and wealth. Now, there's a few different ways we can go about this, right? Clothes are the first one. You really jazz it up.
These are rented, yeah.
we have to start renting even more flashy clothes. But I think it's also about where you're seen, right? Yeah. So there's a few bougie restaurants around town. If we go there, really decked out in some snazzy outfits and take some pics, I think that could work. And then the image that people have online is,
we do that anyway. Like you're saying it like we have to pretend, but that's just our life. Like we do eat out. Like I think at our peak eating out, I've been eating out like 3 times a week at quite nice places. Like
it's true.
It's not. We don't have to pretend.
But I'm thinking it's got to be every day. I want to be eating out.
They should see upstairs. We've got a friggin' pool, man. We got a pool, sauna, steam room. Like you're saying it like we don't live the life. Like we're doing well. We just compare it to other people who are doing better than us, which is comparison is the thief of joy.
I also don't agree with that.
It is in some way. Because if you look at somebody with something more than you and you feel bad about that, which a lot of
that's
people
true.
do.
Yeah, I don't feel bad about it.
But
I just think
95% of people, because they'll wallow in self-pity and be like, I'm not that.
No, that's why we started this podcast. But like, we want to get to Joe Rogan level. So
Joe Rogan, that's a big goal. I like
this it. This is first step.
Matt Rama. See it. Matt Rama.
It'd be nice to get a studio or a proper setup.
I think this is quite nice. We need better mics. We need better cameras. That's something.
We need people to stop walking in and interrupting us. We need a sign on the door that says recording in progress.
Yeah, that would be nice. Kind of looks like you're just swinging vodka right now. I love it.
There's a little sprinkling in there.
I can't wait until we get just absolutely hammered into a podcast.
So, what does your social life look like right now?
It's good. I'm going out I'm going to meet somebody from Holland today for kind of a little date thing. I don't know if it's a date. We might just be seeing each other, but I haven't seen her in like 3 years, so that'll be fun.
Would you like it to be a date?
Not really. Like, no. She's just cool, man. She's just cool.
Is she hot?
Yeah, she's hot. I'll show you. But yeah, no, I'm doing that later today. Then I'm gonna see Callum and that this evening. Like, it's my day off today, so I'm just gonna enjoy it. Like, I don't want to plan too many things. I don't like planning things. So
it's a recurring theme. We've got it.
Yeah, especially on my days off. Like, I do the things that I have to do. That doesn't seem to me anymore like planning. Like, my old idea of planning was I need to do my laundry, I need to change my sheets. That's just second nature now. I'm above that level. Like, it's just
Matt is killing it right now with the domestic life.
Yeah. I'd be a great house husband, bro. I'd be a great house husband. Right, this is a question for you. If somebody was making more than you, would you allow them to bring in the money? Say they were making like 10 mil a year. Would you stay at home and be a house husband? Because I would. I don't see that situation being likely because I want to make a lot of money. At
10 million a year, I ain't doing no chores, man.
Yeah, but
I'm more of a trophy husband. I'm out with all the other stay-at-home moms, like having brunch every day.
You'll be doing Pilates.
Yeah. But that's the point, right? But at that point, if there's 10 million coming in, that's just like play money. You can just start new projects. I'll be starting a new podcast every week. I'll be sending gifts to Joe Rogan every Monday, hoping I can get on or something. But I don't see it being a problem. It depends on if you've got kids. That's a different situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So you can be stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, I think I'll smash that.
But what figure would you say your woman has to be making for you to be a stay-at-home dad?
More than me.
Okay, and what might that be?
At least 500k.
At 500k, you're like, Matt is now a stay-at-home dad.
If I was making, actually, I don't know, because I would always, my end goal is beyond that.
Right.
So, I don't know. I've always thought it, but over the last year, it's just been...
You've been playing around with how easy would it be to get a sugar mommy?
Yeah, it's been my sole goal for the last
You're like,
months.
during this Ironman, you're going to get shredded and then find yourself a nice cougar.
That's why I went to the speed date and there was some serious milfs there, man. That was fun.
I don't know if
Ruth,
they were... I don't
Ruth,
know
if you're watching, I love you.
I don't know if those ladies were
Ruth
getting...
from Stoke.
They were getting close to that 500k a year mark.
No. Yeah. Well, we've always got next time. This was really fun. We went on a speed dating session. It was 25 to 40, was it?
The age bracket was not appropriate.
Well, it was. It was just like there was no one our age. It was kind of sad.
But where do you sit on this age bracket for preference?
Well, I was 25. Oh, what, preference in women?
Yeah.
I don't really mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty open.
Now you have to think women work on a different time horizon to guys because they
in terms of like long-term partner, like I'm less open.
Oh, that was my question.
Oh right, I thought you meant just
no
getting freaky, like 60 plus, man.
Yeah, no age limit on that one.
Genuinely, I'll probably try it with a 70-year-old.
All right, all you grannies listening in, please write in. Matt is ready and available.
Oh, mate, there's loads on. You see the ads on porn, just like local milfs in your area, local gills.
Anyway, I want to get back to the main question, which was for a long-term partner, what are you shooting for? Just so that the listeners can start filtering themselves out.
I think it's really hard to say because if I was to meet somebody that. Some qualities are important, but in my head, it'd be nice to have someone who's kind, nurturing, like supportive. But then if I met this like boisterous, outgoing, but confident and secure woman as well, they would have different qualities. It's very hard to have both of those two combinations together.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
It's hard. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Finding a good, high standard partner is also hard.
Yeah, sure.
So just pick your heart, right? It doesn't really matter what qualities at that point you're going for. It's all going to be equally as unlikely.
That's true. What about yourself?
I wouldn't go anyone older.
Ever.
What
if you met the perfect woman who was a day older than you?
Now, this is going to be controversial, but I fundamentally don't think that there's one perfect person for you out there.
No, 100%. There's no such thing as a soulmate, that's for sure.
Well, not as far as I'm aware.
Well, there would be, technically, one person that was matched you better than anyone else in the world.
See, I don't agree with that. Because I think it's the circumstances that you go through that determine whether you're a good fit or not.
Sure.
So in all my past relationships, the person I've been at the start is wildly different from who I was at the end.
Fair.
And in that process of going through life and the turbulations that come with it, I've changed, and so have they, into new people that fit each other in much better ways.
But that process is going to come from some kind of starting point.
Sure.
That process is going to be better with some people than others.
Absolutely.
So there is one person out there
with whom that starting point is good.
With whom there's the perfect blend of the process and the start point. There's one person out there.
But that assumes that you know what the process is going to unfold.
It would be impossible to find them. It'd be impossible to say that is going to be the person. But there is one person that it would be the best with.
No, I fundamentally disagree with that.
But it's true.
No, you don't know that. What if there's multiple? How many? Like there's 7 billion. All right, I guess statistically speaking, it might work. But if I think of it that way, then it's also possible for me to do anything, right? That kind of thinking does nothing for me. Realistically, there's some people I'll match better with. It's more of a scale, I would say, right?
100%. Like I do agree with what you're saying.
Because this is why when, for example, teachers, you must have seen this all the time at school. Teachers will partner up and get together all the time, right? And it's not because they're just happen to find their soulmate. It's just you spend enough time with one person, and it turns out you get along, you get to know each other, and then you're going to get married and whatever. And for people in that circumstance, a lot of the time it looks like I found my soulmate. But it isn't. You've just spent enough time around the same person over and over to get familiar and comfortable enough with them to say, okay, I understand this person well enough to commit to them long term. And so why can't there be multiple scenarios where I'll put myself in circumstances where I'm exposed to different people over and over again?
No, that's what you got to do. If you're looking at finding somebody that's perfectly suited to you, or not perfectly, but well suited to you, you've got to explore different kind of...
It's a very difficult thing because I think you got to be a good read of people as well.
Yeah,
right.
And it's so hard to get brainwashed by someone's looks. Like, it is hard because...
Especially as guys, man.
Yeah, like you just look at someone nice and you're like, she's the one, man. And you see them for a little bit and it's like, she's not the one, man. She's not the one. That initial attraction fades really quickly. A part of it's maturity though. Like that happened more when I was a little bit younger. Now you've got to be kind of level-headed. It's dangerous setting impossible standards. You should set them very high.
What is the what would you say is impossible standard?
If you wait for somebody that's going to tick every single box that you have, you could be waiting forever.
I don't agree with that at all.
Guess we'll see.
Alright, tune in guys. 30 years time.
I think it's... If you're going to be waiting for somebody that's absolutely perfect, no two people are perfect.
Well, I wouldn't say perfect, but maybe more like this person has really good potential.
Yeah, so you got to compromise. You've got to compromise on a few things, not your core values, and you've got to see the potential in them. But if you're waiting around for somebody that is perfect...
Compromise is such a terrible word, especially when you're thinking about a partner.
I think compromise is so important.
But that word, for me, means like you decided to settle and accept something less.
No, I compromise more in this... But you're not perfect, right? You will have...
What? Damn!
Sorry,
I can't believe you did it right now.
I'm definitely not perfect. I'm pretty... No.
Let's both agree we're both perfect.
Yeah, sure. So we need perfect women.
There we go. That's all I'm saying.
Two lucky ladies waiting for.
And on that note, I think we can wrap it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. How long have we been running for?
That was almost an hour.
Okay.
That was easy, smooth work, guys. Thanks again. If you have any comments, things you liked, or especially things you didn't like, please put them in the comments.
See you next week.